All right, to watch this video for Wednesday, April 11th. Speaking of Wednesday, the day after Wednesday, Thursday, we're going to do a Q&A right at the closing bell on anything that you've ever seen in any of my videos, anything if you've seen in any of our free webinars, like our inflection points and all that stuff. We get a lot of emails about it. So show up Thursday at the closing bell. I'm going to put a link in the description below this video, the video description below this video, to register for this Q&A. And it's just going to be absolutely unscripted, no prepared slides. We're just gonna take questions on anything that. Now, it always comes off as arrogant to me when someone says, "Ask me anything." That's really not what I mean. When I say, ask us anything, ask us anything about our methods of trading. I can't answer any question about anything trading related, but I can answer certainly anything about how I trade, what I look for, what you've seen in our videos, what you've seen in any of our free webinars, and there should be a link in the description to this video to all of our free webinars as well. So love to have you register. So the link will be in the description below, and show up right at the closing bell on Thursday. All right, we're gonna do a Q&A. Anyway, so what are we watching? The SPY held up actually pretty well today in after hours. I was trading at 264.34 as I'm talking, so gapping down a bit. We'll see. I mean, there's a lot of headline risk out there. A lot of headline risk. So, keep that in mind when trading. But I start every day in cash. I'm in cash every night at the closing bell. And I try to populate my charts with stocks that might give me a nice trade the next day, right? So with that in mind, believe it or not, Sears Holdings, SHLD, does not make my list very often. But it popped back here on March 29th to basically 318. Did kind of a little cup and handle thing going on right now, and so it might break out and get maybe a little mini short squeeze. So definitely want to watch that one. PIXY, a little bit of extra volume today, and kind of a breaking out of a couple weeks range. Had a big pop back here, so we're gonna watch that one. Maybe a red to green, something like that. GALT, I like over $5. You had a pop here to just below 5, a pop here to 5. And so it's kind of flagging below that. I think if it breaks 5, it might get going. So we're going to watch GALT. CUR gapped up today, closing below its open. The high today was 205. The 200-day you can see is right there too. So really kind of need this, but it did break out of a range, like a 2-month range, on a little bit of extra volume on news. So I don't really think I'm going to get involved unless it breaks 205, but we'll see. You never know how it's going to open. VHC, normally I would say, hey, there might be something going on here. There's, a little bit of extra volume that's trying to break out of a range, but that is not the reason it's on the list. It's on the list because in after hours, it's trading at 545. So they obviously had news. I believe this is a nickel spreader, so be careful. But if it holds on, it's set to open, somewhere all the way up here tomorrow. Certainly worth watching. TNTR had a nice run from, believe me, this is an ugly daily chart, right? You had this big pop here, and then it just fell off a cliff. But it did have a nice run from $1.65 over a course of a couple sessions, maybe a few sessions, to 248. So a decent move there, and now you're a couple days lower on much lower volume. So that's why, assuming maybe this bottomed here, then you had this pop. So maybe this is a buyable pullback. But on the longer term, remember, I'm not an investor. I'm looking for a trade tomorrow, right? So I'm not looking to hold this overnight. But on the longer term, this is one ugly chart. So keep that in mind. AYTU, I've been watching this one. And again, it didn't do anything. Didn't give me any entry. You got to zoom way in here. I do like it over today's high, over 64 cents. It might retest this big volume day that it hit a high of 76. And then certainly if it can retest that, it might get through 76 and could move to $1. So we'll see. CNET, nice breakout today on volume and a strong close. It's actually trading at 263 in after hours. Today's high was 275. So this is a good potential red to green tomorrow. We'll see how it opens. SMRT, nice breakout today. It's been in a tight range, right? Kind of topping out around $1.60 here. And I actually mentioned this when it broke $1.60. It was getting volume, and that was this morning. And then when it came back up, I mentioned it right at about $1.62 before it broke the high. I said, hey, this could be worth a shot right here. And from there, it did get to $1.74, something like that. I ended up making about $500 in this today, this afternoon, and I certainly want to watch it for a possible follow-through day tomorrow. With this breakout, had this big pop back here that went all the way to 245, so certainly worth watching. And then lastly, KONE, which I mentioned as this morning as it was kind of breaking $6. Now, I didn't give a trigger and stop. The spreads were stupid, but I did mention over the mic, hey, this is interesting, especially if it breaks 6, it might break the earlier high of day, right? So this is what it looked like at the time it was coming up. So I liked it over 6, and then the earlier high of day was 624, and I had that huge move yesterday, and you see what happened. So I'm not going to tell you I gave a trigger and stop, but I can tell you that my comments got some people in because it was a private message. You see the word private there, so I block out the name because it wasn't a public post, but I got a big thank you for KONE. One of our members got 3 times their daily goal on that move alone. So, sometimes my babblings, even if I don't catch a trade myself or give a trigger and stop idea, people smarter than me find a way in and get a nice trade out of it. So that's it. We're going to add gappers in the pre-market. If we find a decent couple of gappers, we'll add those to the list, and there should be plenty to trade tomorrow. Again, be vigilant. Watch, keep an eye on the SPY at all times because there's a lot of headline risk for longs and shorts, right? Headlines can take this market either way in a blink. So it is pretty choppy out there. So always think defense first, and check the description below. Again, a link to register for the Q&A on Thursday at the closing bell, a link to our free webinars. So check those out. And if you can watch some of them before the Thursday Q&A, that you might have some questions on some of them, and Wayne and I will be happy to answer them. And then lastly, there should be a special offer down there to our price from 2004 on a lifetime membership. All right, I'm done babbling. Have a great night.